All right. Good evening, everybody. We're back for another episode of Tilton the Scales. I'm here with Wally Hall and Chet Bowen, my co-hosts. I am currently in the Lone Star Studio in Austin, Texas. Wally is back in Hill, New Hampshire, and Chet is in Goffstown, New Hampshire. That's distance is what 28 minutes away. What would we say? As
From
the
each
crow
other?
flies.
Like a half an
Yeah,
hour,
from
probably.
each other. Half an hour. Yeah, 28
No,
minutes.
closer to an hour, I'd say.
Okay.
You think
Well, yeah,
so?
they're an hour away.
Right, because you
It
gotta come
takes
to
takes
Concord.
me 40 minutes to get to Concord.
Okay.
That's true.
And
That's
then
true. Get
we're
to
also joined by our buddy Tim Constant, friend of the show, Tim Constant. Thanks for
Hey,
coming on,
gentlemen.
Tim.
Hey, Tim.
Thanks for
Tim.
having me.
Yeah, good. We got some good topics this evening. We'll let Chet start with the topic that he wanted to discuss.
Yeah, yeah. I do not love when people. I don't care for the word choice in the college dorms. Don't love that because all that teaches people is to not say the word in front of you. However, I love this idea that like we can talk about when someone calls you retarded, for instance, like anybody. Wait, why is everyone frozen?
We
God,
can still hear you. We can still hear you. Keep going.
We're
Yeah.
focused.
There you go. Yeah.
no, you're back. You're back. Everyone was frozen. So don't love that because when you look at someone and you say that's retarded, what you're saying is you're making fun of somebody who was born with an extra chromosome for no fault of their own. So I do not love that word. I do not love that you're saying to somebody, "Oh, that's retarded," because there are human beings out there who were born with an extra chromosome, no problem. Like that's like not their fault. And you're treating someone else like they're less than and using that word. Don't love it. Also, gay, same thing. That's gay. Don't love that because people are born straight or gay. It's biological. And so when you say that's gay, then you're basically saying to somebody who is hearing it, like, oh, that makes me the problem. That makes me the issue. I've never loved that. I've never thought that was okay. At the same time, I want to be clear. In a college dormitory, when you're saying words and you're 18 years old and someone walks by and says word choice, I think that just makes the problem worse. Because then you only hear, like, I'm not going to say it in front of you. I think it's a big thing on education. Educate people on why those words are hurtful. And I think most people would actually understand. That's our problem. We don't educate people on why those words are hurtful. And that's my thing.
Yeah, I think when we address each other as adults, like it's kind of sometimes it's kind of one of those things where like we shouldn't have to before we start a conversation say, hey, I'm an adult. Most adults that I talk to, we use cuss words, we swear. That's how most adults talk in the real world. You know, we shouldn't have to start the conversation with that disclaimer, so to speak, so that no one's offended by the language. But when we use certain language that does identify or target like a certain part of the population in a derogatory way, I guess I'm guilty of doing that. Like I've not in a open forum per se, like talking to a bunch of people or addressing a bunch of people, but one-on-one conversations, I've used derogatory terms to describe something like the strength that I have in the gym, like, uh, and I do something differently and use different language? Absolutely. So I think, most adults, again, sometimes use colorful language that means different things to different people depending on how you view things. But at the end of the day, I think when we think about who's using the words and how they're using them, like I don't think overall when they do that, we know the type of people that they are and how they mean it. And then it's just a conversation of saying not it didn't necessarily offend me, but I think we could use different language to communicate certain things. Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
it makes sense. I think there's like two sides to this argument, right? And I think at a fundamental level, people can say whatever they want, right? It's just words. Um, Now, your words make the person, right? So ultimately, you're going to be judging the words you use, and you take the risks you want to accordingly with the audience. But say what you want and understand that there's ramifications for your words, right? Freedom of speech is not just it's not an ideal; it's the law of the land. You can say whatever you want with the understanding that when you then say it, you're going to be judged for it by other people. There are going to be other implications there. And I personally try not to use words like that because I feel like at a fundamental level, it's kind of, it puts people down, it makes people upset, it might make people sad, it might ruin, like if I went into my work and use that word towards one of my children, then I would be fired, right? There'd be real world implications to that. I should be fired morally. It's inappropriate. It's unacceptable. But I can, right? They can't stop me. But there's consequences for that. And I think that I don't want to ever I try very hard not to use language that would upset other people, I guess, in certain contexts, unnecessarily upset other people. I don't have a problem, like if you say something, I don't have a problem responding to it, but I don't want to go out of my way to seek enemies or to alienate people or to degrade other people. I don't need that.
Yeah, and I think if you, for me specifically, my job that I used to have in the Army, we all use colorful language. We're all from different walks of life. It's very diverse. So if I would always, almost every conversation I would have, especially in front of people, and it was a large group of people, I would throw out the disclaimer and say, hey, if I say something that offends you, I hope that you can give me the professional courtesy to come to me and tell me that what I said and how I said it was offensive. And then hopefully we can have a conversation about how you interpreted what I said. And then potentially I can, create an argument where, well, that's not how I meant it when I said it. This is how I meant it when I said it. And I can see where you interpreted it that way. And in the future, I won't use, language like that moving forward. And because again, I want to avoid confusion when I'm trying to communicate clearly with somebody. So yeah, there's definitely that aspect of professionalism and even just being a good human being. Like, let me know if I said something that offended you. And we can have a conversation about it. Don't judge me based off of what I said and how you interpreted it. I mean, people are going to do that anyway, especially people that don't know you or care about you. But if they do know you and care about you, which I think most of the people, at least the 4 people that are on this podcast, like if you talk to a complete stranger and you have a conversation with them, you would probably have the stones to say, well, wait, what did you mean? What did you mean when you said this? Because I'm thinking a totally different thing, and I just wanted you to clarify this. And then maybe if they go down the rabbit hole and also let you know that they meant it as you interpreted it, and it is offensive to you, then you have another conversation about that. So, yeah.
Chet, would you agree that there are the one of the other extremes is the hypersensitivity of the individual on the other side of the conversation?
Yes, Nate, we're recording, right?
Yeah. Yes,
I
we are.
100% agree that there is hypersensitivity in this world. 100% agree with that.
Okay. Where do you draw the line between with language that I think with retard, gay, there are circumstances where that's pretty obviously, insensitive or whatever, over the top. But I think there's a number of other examples we could probably give where it's like, well, what's called a microaggression or whatever, saying to a black woman, "I think your hair is so beautiful," as that being a microaggression. Well, is that really, or is it just that there's there's a hypersensitivity on the other side, and you just need to chill out? So where do you find that the middle ground, or no man's land, if you will, that's appropriate?
Yeah, I'm just not sure that girl where you say like your hair's nice. is I'm not sure how everybody around the world would look at your hair is nice and say, oh, that means that's a bad thing. I guess my point is that like when you say that's gay or that's retarded, you're basically saying it's a negative connotation associated with those words, right? And so with the way I look at it is like, man, these poor people that were born through no fault of their own with an extra chromosome are trying to make it, and they're super. Tim, I can tell you, I see them every day. They're fucking awesome, smart, amazing, emotionally intelligent. And so when I hear the word retarded, as in like someone robbed a bank, that's fucking retarded. Or someone on the basketball court, they passed and it was stupid. That's fucking retarded. To me, that really bothers me because I'm looking at these people that I know, human beings, real human beings that I know. And when I hear that word, I think it does bother me a lot because I'm like, man, if I were them, I would want someone like Chet to be there for me. So that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, no, I
Now,
hear that, but how do you? But to Tim's point, when he says where's that line, I mean that's an important question
it's
because
a
you
great,
you
great
didn't
question.
answer that because the line's subjective and context is everything, right? What you're going to say, the four of us assholes sitting around a bar table is going to be very different than what you're going to say standing in front of my second grader's classroom. You know what I mean? Context is everything, and I think your language dictates the situation. I also think that there are certain words that, regardless of what your intent is, unnecessarily can hurt or affect the day of a multitude of people. And I personally try to live by the creed that I don't want to say something that is going to have unintended consequences or negatively impact another person's day
Yeah.
unnecessarily. I just don't see the need for it. So words like gay or retarded, if heard or taken out of context, can impact another person's day. And it doesn't need to be that. There's so many other words I can use to emphasize the exact same point and
So,
achieve the exact same goals. So I just don't see the need to say things like that. Personally, I just don't see the benefit.
Well,
It's like one of those.
let me, here's another perspective. And so you can say a particular word or call a particular name, and it can be as um, silly or foolish, like we did when we were in high school. You know, we weren't being particularly subversive about it. That was just kind of the name.
yeah.
But I think that there are sort of word banks that can be used uh, in an attempt or in an effort to be subversive to a particular hierarchy that one wants to sort of topple. And so what I mean by that is, this is just anecdotally, and you can I wonder if you would feel the same way, but it feels like when we were in high school, calling someone gay or retarded, that sort of went away for a couple of decades, and it seems like it's maybe resurging a little bit. I don't know. That's what it seems like to me. Um, but I wonder if using words like that is actually an intentional choice to be subversive to a culture that is hyper politically correct. And so whereas we had sort of grown out of these words, if you will, but because of the oppressive mothering of America, there you're seeing these resurgence of these words that's almost like a rebellious choosing from this word bank of words I know to be subversive to your politically correct world.
Look at me. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm going to do this because not because I think you're gay or I think even if I think that that's even if I don't think that that is necessarily a bad thing, um, I'm still going to use that because I know it's going to niggle you. And I know it's
Yeah.
going to get under your skin.
No. Yeah. Yeah, Tim, you literally did it last week, which I understand. I understood what you were doing when you did it. So I'm wondering why it's so.
Oh, is this an intervention?
No, I mean, no.
I
These
didn't
guys,
know I signed up for an intervention.
No.
no intervention. I'm just wondering why it's important to you. Like, this is so good. Like, these conversations are so good because why is it important to you to like go in that direction? Why is it important for you to say retarded with freedom, without worry, without consequence? Why is it important for you to say retarded without those things?
Well, I think you're assuming it was important.
I don't forget about that. Why is it important? Why do you feel like saying retarded is like an easy thing? Like, why it shouldn't be looked at and analyzed? Because you're saying Mother America, right? Fair enough. Get it. I totally get it. But like, why should Mother America not look at that word? Why is it important for you to be able to say that word without consequence?
Well, to be able to say a word without consequence, I think is very important, kind of like to Wally's point. Now, that doesn't mean you don't have a consequence like your employer, right?
Freedom of speech is your constitutional right. No. Sorry.
No, that's the truth, though. It is freedom of speech.
Yeah. But I think it's also true that words they have an original meaning, they have a true meaning. And I don't want to be all like Michel Foucault and like jumble up words and meanings and all that. But it is true that things like when someone says, "Oh, this is gay," do they mean this particular drink is homosexual? No, they don't mean that. They mean that it's associated with a certain dandiness or a effeminacy, or perhaps if they just think it's lame. You know, that like the bell curve of adjectives that you could toss under that are pretty extensive. And so I won't sit here and defend. I think everyone should say the word retarded. And to be quite honest with you, it might just be the fact that I'm around old high school buddies, and it's like, where did this word come from? I haven't said retarded in a while.
We use it prolifically.
Yeah.
And that's right? The point that I'm hung up on, is that like there are unintended consequences. So while we use that prolifically in high school, or while we use the word gay prolifically, and I understand where you're coming from, Tim. I think there are people in our immediate circle who our use of that word probably impacted their lives. And I think that like that's something you got to be cautious about, and especially in situations like that. And I agree with you. I think that it's in part becoming more prolific because of the political climate we're in, and feeling like we're being oppressed and being told what we can and can't say. And some of these laws in England, by the way, you don't want to talk tangents, but I mean, you guys following some of the laws they've had over the last year? It's
oh my God.
Like you can get arrested for shit you post on Facebook or Twitter. It's insane, but that's a tangent. Yeah, I lost my train of thought. It's gone. I apologize.
I like it though. No,
I
you're
going somewhere good. I was passionate. I was feeling it, and then I got one in my head. I got really angry about those rules over in Great Britain, and it was gone.
Yeah, I wouldn't defend a particular thing that I said that could have. I mean, we all say things flippantly. But I also can make a case for intentionally using words that are subversive to rile people up in a way that might not be a bad thing. So, but I think, to your point, an intentional use of words and phrases, apart from being flippant, I think that's important. You know, like I don't want to get fired for saying something on accident.
Yeah.
But I'm okay for getting fired for saying something on purpose, even if it's around like the same topic or the same name.
Well, on that same kind of topic or line of thought, like, you know, I started doing this not because I thought my thoughts were profound, or what I would say while we're recording would be thought profound from a third party that happens to clickbait and listen. But I feel that about y'all. Like that's why you guys are here, and I enjoy talking to y'all. So I mean, on that same thought pattern though, like I want to be able to put any anecdote that comes out of you guys' mouth on a social media platform and not worry about the language being you know offensive to anybody. Now, again, if we're not using those words and somebody is offended by our thoughts, I could care less. Like, oh, I think Wally and I have talked about it before. We'll be trolls all day. Like we'll take on the negative just as much as the positive, but like to a point where where we communicate with each other without using that language when it's recording. But when we're not recording, we can use whatever language, like we're sitting in your backyard, Tim, in Colorado, sitting by the fire. Like, what are you drinking? Wine or is that coffee?
Well, I'm trying to do a no alcohol January, and I don't count wine as alcohol.
Hey, I'm right there with you. It's fermented fruit. Like it's not processed like alcohol.
Doesn't count.
I'd like to hear the science behind that.
I was going to ask if you were going to talk to us about the sacrament. So
Nate, I want to speak on what you just said for a second, and I think it's a slippery slope. I don't want to be the gatekeeper of anyone else's words. Like, we're adults. Your words are your own. Yeah. My words are my own. And if you say something that I disagree with as an adult, it's incumbent upon me to speak up or not. And if I feel strongly about it and speak up, like, that speaks for itself. Like, I'm comfortable enough in this group and with this setting that no one's going to say something so outlandish that, like, I have to worry about the FBI knocking at my door tomorrow. And B, that if I disagree with you, I'm going to speak up and I'm going to do so freely. And if you use a word or a phrase or something that I disagree with, well, I'm a grown ass man and I should say that, and then we'll have a conversation about it.
As I did, and as Tim did. Tim,
as you did. Yeah.
By the way, this 4 plus Chad plus Jeff, that's my team. So, like, I don't even care. Like, you guys disagree with me or not, I got your back always. That's nice. True.
You're good, Manchester.
Yeah.
It's true, though. Like, we all feel that way.
Oh, I want to say something. I stopped by my nephew got called up to the Winnisquam JV team. He's in the 8th grade. He's playing basketball. So I went to his game a couple days ago, and I happened by the track record plaque that still hangs in that gym, and I took a picture. And I think Tim, you should be very proud of yourself because your name is up there multiple times still.
Wow, still.
Yes. And I apologize again for the tangent, but
so Caleb was called up.
Caleb was called. A whole bunch of the kids were called up, but yeah, he's a good little athlete. So you still have the record for the most points in the decathlon with 5,802 points earned in 1988.
Wait, 88. I was going to say 88. What the heck? He was doing it while he was in diapers.
Also holds he's a member of the record-holding 4x4 relay race with a time of 3 minutes 33 seconds, earned in 1997. Tim Constant, John Howe, Peter Kimball, Jürgen Habel.
Oh my God, Peter Kimball.
Peter Kimball, yep.
Yeah.
Tim Constant also happens to hold he is one of 4 people to hold the 4x1 men's relay with Peter Kimball, Phil St. Onge, and Nathan Logan.
Nathan Logan.
On that.
Logan.
Damn.
It was only because of you.
It would have been that Chad, Tim, you hand up. You guys had some good 4x1 teams with Josh Perkins, Chad.
I remember that.
But no, Nathan Logan, Peter Kimball, Tim Constant, Phil St. Onge hold the record as the fastest 4x1.
Let's go. Let's go.
You're tied for the record in the high hurdles. 15 points. You were tied for the record in the high hurdles. I
ran the high hurdles
with Chad.
Yeah, you did.
In 98. 15.
I don't remember that.
15.9 seconds. No, with Eoin or Odoit, somebody from 2012. I don't know.
Oh,
How crazy is that? That's all the records you hold. Sean O'Brien still owns quite a few
Tell
records
me,
as well.
tell me,
Yeah.
Wally and Chet, how does it feel? How does it feel to be in the presence of half of the 4x1 record holding team at Winnisquam?
I feel like I've
Just
touched
throwing that out
greatness.
there.
I feel
I
honored.
feel like I've touched greatness.
I feel honored. I feel honored.
I feel great being that I only ran track 1 year.
Listen,
Yeah,
if you hold a record for almost 30 years, it's coming up in 30 years. I mean, I don't care what the record is. That's something worth talking about.
Yeah,
we should talk to Fred Caruso or
You were-
somebody about bringing that team back and honoring them at halftime of like a basketball
Yeah.
game. Or something.
But
It
it
was-
was been-
I'll go back there and accept the award on behalf of all 4 of you guys if you can't make it. But
yeah.
that is pretty
Chet, were you
impressive,
gonna-
though.
were you gonna
30
say something,
years.
Chet?
What's up?
Were you going to say something?
Oh, I was gonna say, yeah, like, you're a legend.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, your name's on there
No.
quite a bit. I'm just happy to
No.
be up there once.
The fact that we didn't bring home a banner and get to win a championship that year is a great sorrow to me.
Yeah.
Really
yeah,
is.
for track,
we
yeah.
should have won the championship. They won the year after we graduated. We should have won it that year.
Really? Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Jody Fredette was our coach, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
He
Do you
was-
remember? I don't know if you remember this, but he used to do this thing called the slap, where like if you felt like you were ready to take it, you would take your shirt off. And Jody Fredette, and he wasn't a small dude.
Nope.
He's a big dude.
Yeah, he's a big dude.
He would just slap your chest, like wind up and slap your chest, like 5-star you, and you had to like flex. I
Yeah.
remember a couple guys doing it, and I was like, I ain't doing that. That's stupid.
Remember the wedgies we used to give each other? Those how the twins that were a year older than us. What were their names?
Oh, House.
The Hows.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They
the
were
House, yeah.
strong as fucking oxes.
Wrestlers.
One of them gave me a wedgie.
Couple
one time,
wrestlers,
I swear
yeah.
to God, I still feel. Yeah.
You still feel that?
Yeah. It was my own fault.
I remember. So
Hey,
when I
was your
was,
own, how was that your own fault, Wally? You let him do it?
No, he was fixing the. I was a wise ass. He was fixing the mat outside by the high jump, and I gave him a wedgie. Then ran like hell back to the school. I figured if I could get inside, he wouldn't. He caught me right in front of the vending machines and dragged me up the hall.
Yeah,
So-
yeah, that's your fault. That's your
It's my
fault.
own fault. I pulled the man.
That's a sound strategy, Wally. But
So
what
my,
were you
my
a
freshman
sophomore?
year,
No, I would have been a junior, I think.
Junior.
my freshman year on the soccer team, I think I might have been the only freshman on it. And so there was a couple guys, I don't remember their names anymore. Maybe somebody named Garrett or
Yeah.
Anyway, a couple of them. They were like, we're going to give you a swirly. It's going to happen. Like for weeks
Yeah.
and weeks. And I remember I was in the locker room getting a drink out of the water fountain. And like 2 of them grabbed me and I grabbed onto that water fountain, like kicked. I was like,
Did they succeed?
no,
Did you ever
I
get a
escaped.
swirly?
I
Well
escaped.
done.
It was
Yes!
like Shawshank Redemption, man. Remember that scene when he's in like the laundry room and he's like fighting him off? Yeah.
Oh yeah. And
Nice job.
he still ended up getting the business. So
We had a lot of assholes in the upperclassmen for us.
oh yeah.
It was
Sure
Actually,
did.
there
We sure
were
did.
not
I
a
can
lot of
name
nice
names.
guys.
I won't name names, but I want to.
The more I look back on it, like we should have, like, obviously we have, experienced some things in our lives, but there's power in numbers. So we should have had like a buddy system. Like when no one goes anywhere alone. No one goes anywhere alone.
They didn't really mess with us.
No,
Yes,
I agree.
I feel like Tim
uh,
got messed with the most, but he got himself into a fair amount of that trouble on his own. Like,
That's true. That's fair. That's
No, I
fair.
agree, but it's also a lesson learned for your kids. Like, still tell them,
You know,
like, don't go anywhere alone. What freshman year? Don't go anywhere alone. Be in the buddy system. Go down swinging. Go down swinging. Don't let shit happen to you.
I will
To
say,
the-
Nate, I was always a little intimidated by you in high school.
Which one?
Nate.
I appreciate that.
Uh,
I think
me?
all the
Yeah.
I think all the seniors were too. Or my sister like told everybody, if you do shit to them, like I feel like my sister
Yeah.
probably stuck up
Yeah.
for me too. But
Yeah.
I feel like I wanted to give off an aura, like don't
Yeah.
don't
Well,
mess with me.
How
Didn't
tall are
work-
you? Like
didn't work
6'1"
on
or
me, pal.
6'2"?
What was
he's
that?
5'10". He's 5'10".
No,
How
I'm
tall are you?
5'11" with shoes on, 5'10" without shoes on.
Okay. I maybe it's so weird. Like when I think of like guys like Derek Daly. Remember him?
I do.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
Big thighs.
they're always older than you. There's this thing of like when you think
Yeah.
back, they're always older than you. And
Yeah.
if you were to go back to those times, or even nowadays, you're like, you're a year older than me. Like most of my friends are older, way older than that. But
Yeah.
it's still like, oh, you're my elder or something. Like this weird relationship.
Yeah, the thing I remember about Derek Daly was he needed a tribe. He needed backup. Like he would say that he wanted to do these things, but he needed somebody else to help him do it, no matter what it was. Like especially when it came to like, I didn't have an issue with him, but he still liked to talk smack, but wouldn't back it up unless like there's somebody standing rolling with him, right?
No, I disagree.
I remember this dude.
What I remember best about Derek Daly was "I'm a Machine" up in Mascoma when he whispered, and he hit like 3 threes in a row, and he whispered the kids' ear, "I'm a machine," and then immediately got teed up.
Of course he did. When I was dating Lisa Parisi, I remember him going to every single person in the whole cafeteria and said, "That's the best Chet can do." I was like,
He was high on something, I'm sure.
Probably-
What's he up to these days, anyway?
He joined the Marines out of high school. I don't know. I don't know
Really?
what happened. Yeah. He was in the Marines for I don't know. I don't know.
Oh wait, hold on, rewind. I want to restate that. Did he go to the Marines? Because then I do care.
He 100% joined the Marines right out of high school.
Oh, and then now I care.
Yeah, he
I'd
did.
like
I
to
don't,
find
I don't
out.
know much past that. I don't know. I saw him a couple of years later. He came home for something, but it's been probably 20 years since then.
All right.
Yeah, he was a jarhead. I'm not gonna lie.
I think it was
I always liked
Nick,
Derek.
for
I
sure.
always liked him.
You
I
should
thought he
find
was
out
so-
where
I
he's
thought he
at.
was hilarious.
You
He
should
was
find
one of the
out where he's
funniest
at.
guys on that team.
Let's get him on here now.
Do you remember that kind of language that it was like a slang language that he
Tim,
Ah,
Tim, fuck off.
I do remember that. Yeah.
I know where you're
like-
going. I love it. Fuck off. I love you. I do love you.
They called fat people loud. Remember that?
yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah. Definitely.
I never understood it.
Well, you know what the term is now for that, right?
What?
The term when you don't want to call people that are overweight or obese. You know what the term is now? The kids use
What?
big back.
Wait, what?
Big back.
Oh,
Big back.
They refer to people as big back, but technically the big back term started like that's somebody that likes to eat. They can be in shape, but if they like food, they're a big
I love
back.
to eat.
But then it turned into, of course, what kids do. Like they turned it into derogatory term where now it's really you can say it about anybody, but it still means fat when you break it down.
Am
Like
I in my own hair with
you're essentially body shaming them. Like even if they're an in shape person and an athlete, they're still going to call you a big back.
Speaking of body shaming, what do you guys? This is a little outdated because it happened maybe 2 or 3 years ago. But do you remember when on the swimsuit edition, they had a relatively overweight woman?
Yes.
Do you remember
Yeah.
that? And
Yes.
and they were like, there's this whole like this is beautiful or something like that.
It
What
wasn't.
are your thoughts on that? Is that
No.
no?
That started the DEI, right? Like, I mean, in all honesty, there are plus size models that
Mhm.
model bras, underwear, to including men as well, plus size models. Like, it is an industry, and at some point, somebody was offended because it's not an all inclusive swimsuit edition, and Sports Illustrated, I'm sure, because if we're talking about that same swimsuit edition, right? They wanted to also branch out and like bring awareness to plus size swimsuits, right? In theory, that's probably the marketing scheme towards it. And then it branched out into now they do athletes and plus size women / big boned women, however you and then really like sleek and very sexy, models
Oh,
specifically.
I already
So.
see where this is going. I already see it. I understand it. And God damn it.
Wait,
Go ahead,
What?
Tim.
no, go
You're
talk.
smart.
What do you?
Well, we're talking about the swimsuit models and what we say about them, and you're gonna compare it to what I said about retarded and gay, and I already had it.
Are you
It was
feeling
not-
attacked? Are you feeling attacked, Chet?
Well,
I think that's Chet's guilty conscience.
I think that might
talking.
be. I don't think anyone was going there.
Oh, just me. Me alone.
This is a safe space, Chet. This is a safe space.
Chet's having an intervention with himself. We'll just leave him alone.
I kind of am.
All right. So on that